The views are not necessarily those of this station. We are the talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Assalamualaikum, brothers and sisters. You live with Straight Words on WVON 1690. This is the talk of Chicago. An exciting night on this Tuesday. Brother Naba'a Richard Muhammad, editor-in-chief of the Final Call newspaper, has already been on the case tonight on WVON talking about the post comments about the debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, and also our great contributing editor of the Final Call newspaper, Big brother James G. Muhammad. And Brother BG, I'm joining in now, so let's keep this thing rolling, brother. What y'all been talking about tonight?
Yeah, what did I miss, brother? What did I miss?
Brother Naba'a? Okay, I think we lost Brother Naba'a.
Yeah, I'm here. I ain't gone. I ain't lost. I'm fine.
Okay.
But you know what, brothers? Before we do that, I want to send a shout out to WVON and the management, and I want to say to us as Black people, we have to learn to work with one another. You know, we have to have a cooperative spirit, because ultimately what we want is for us all to win, and we want our people to win, and we want to inform them. We want to bring them into the light of knowledge and understanding. And WVON has a really great history of that. We're honored to be part of that history. We're honored to be partnering. And that means that you may hit a bump here or there, but that doesn't end the relationship. It just means that as we all strive and as we overcome so many things that are arrayed against us, our unity, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, is more powerful than a nuclear bomb. So, you know, just wanted to give a shout out to WVON and say to us, you know, WVON is a very important entity in our community, and we should support it lest it be gone, because there are many major cities that do not have Black Talk Radio. So we need to preserve, protect, and defend that which is ours. So, brothers, I mean, you want me to do a little recap? Let me hit a couple of things, sir. And then I want y'all to get in and give me any impressions. Oh, brothers and sisters, look, 773-591-1690. Ain't this the night you've been waiting for? To see this?
Brother Barney already on.
All right, well, I tell you what. Let me hit these 2 points. And then we will get to Brother Barney. This is part of what Mr. Trump said in his closing remarks. He said, Kamala Harris has talked of doing great things. Why hasn't she done them, he asked. Why hasn't she fixed the border, fixed the economy, and does these other things? Then he declared she believes in things Americans don't. Then he said, quote, we can't sacrifice our country for a bad vision. We are being laughed at all over the world. And then he says we will end up in a third world war with nuclear weapons. And he said that at least twice during the roughly 90-minute debate that was held live in Philadelphia, moderated by ABC News. Thought the moderators did a great job tonight. Kamala Harris, the Democratic Party presidential pick, part of her closing, she said, quote, we're not going back and we can chart a new way forward. I intend to create an opportunity economy, giving hardworking people a break. I believe in what we can do together, she said in her debate close. I've only had one employer, the people, talking about when she was a prosecutor, when she was district attorney, when she was attorney general for the state of California, when she was a senator, and when she became vice president. Her only employer, she says, has been the people, representing the people. And she said, I intend to be a president for all. So that's a little recap, and we'll bring you back some more facts. But let's bring Brother Bonnie in and hear what he got to say. And the rest of y'all call in 773-591-1690. Let's go.
All right, Brother Bonnie, you're on Straight Words. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, family. How are you?
Fine, right, so thank you.
Of course, we know that these are the two candidates, so there are no others in the race. So these are the two that have to be chosen from. So I want to preface that by saying that. Now, we know that Kamala Harris, she's going to take us to hell. And we also know that Trump is going to take us to hell on a rocket ship. So we going there. So we got to, I believe at this point, we need to just determine which one of the two would we be able to carve out something for ourselves to go for self. My interpretation of Trump and Harris is like a boxing match. It looked like they coming out to fight. Harris looked like the stalker. She kept looking at him, eyeing him up, and if you notice Trump, he just kept looking forward, almost like he was afraid of her. You know how I'm about to measure someone. And Harris just kept sticking and jabbing, and Trump just kept defending. So on the basis of going out in the boxing match, Harris will win on points, I would think.
All right.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right.
So, that's my interpretation, though.
All right, Brother Barney, thanks for weighing in. Brothers, do any of you want to share any? Go ahead, Brother.
Yeah, I will. Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. First of all, it was a very, I would call it entertaining debate. I would also say that for Kamala Harris, I think, well, number one, I think she did come out ahead. She did win that debate. And she did it because she posed, she had her talking points. She didn't get drawn off of her talking points. And I think though her policy statements or the issues of policy did not come across in terms of depth of her plan, though she did talk more policy than Vice President or former President Trump did, I think what was effective for her was if you're going in there, you already know Trump has his base, so whatever he says, he's got his base. So you're trying to get those who are on the fence looking for a qualified option or choice. Do they go with Trump or do they go with the person who some may not know or whatever? I think that the person on the fence saw definitely a clear distinction because most folks on the fence don't like Trump because some of the negative personality traits that he has. They may not like Harris because they don't know her that well or she was too closely aligned with Biden, from whom some policies they didn't agree with. So in the debate, she got a chance to present herself. First of all, physically, she looked more presidential and commanding than Trump did. And if somebody was looking for that option, I think they would tilt more toward her. And if she does well going forward in presenting her policies, et cetera, and putting more meat on the bone of her issues, then she could bring some of them over to her. You did mention one quote that she mentioned in her closing statement, Brother Naba'a, but I think in addition to that, one thing that was somewhat powerful, she said there was always one question I would ask, and that is, are you okay? And that was the writing theme throughout her whole presentation. It's about you. And so when she ended with that, I think that put like an exclamation mark on her closing statement. But lastly, I would say her Achilles heel of what could really kill her candidacy or whether she wins or loses. And I agree with Brother Barney with regard to where America is going. I mean, both of them, unless there's a tremendous change in their attitude toward the oppressed, are going to hell. But her Achilles heel will be those who don't vote because of her stance on Israel. Because every time you hear them talk about Israel and what's happening with the war in Gaza, it's as if Israel had no part whatever retaliatory attacks that Hamas has had. I mean, they didn't attack because they were living free and able to travel in their own borders freely. They're living under an apartheid state, and living in that condition, it can drive you insane. And you do things because you want to be free. The slaves wanted to be free, so they attacked the master and then fled. It wasn't because they were living a happy life. It was because they were being oppressed. So whenever that the Israel-Gaza question is asked, there's no balance given to the argument. Like, I'm going to defend Israel by any means necessary. Well, why don't they say? They say that they can. They demonstrated that they can control the flow of arms that they give. They're not giving Ukraine weapons that can reach Moscow missiles. So that means they have an option of whether they can give weapons. They did not give Israel the 2,000 pound bombs or whatever, but they could do more of that, and which would cause an end to this war quicker if they were just more forceful and giving them, you can't take no for an answer, So that's how I saw it.
Yeah, brother BJ, let me jump in here. Then I want you to come in, okay? Because, I did an interview with Mark Lamont Hill, the academic and media person. And in this interview, see, brothers and sisters, we got to understand what happened with Hamas as a liberation movement is related to 70 years of Israelis killing Palestinians. The Gaza Strip is known as an open-air prison. We got to be real clear on what we're looking at here. Israel controls everything that goes in and out of Gaza. And they were literally limiting food to keep the Palestinians. This is before the war. Limiting food, how much food that could come in, so they can literally limit the caloric intake of food by Palestinians, so they would literally weaken them. Listen to what I'm saying. Now remember, when Israel decided when the Zionists decided they wanted that country for themselves, they were terrorists. Do you hear me? Again, they attacked the British, right? Now, in recent days, and this is what I'm saying, brothers and sisters, we have to understand history. We have to understand that there was just a couple of weeks ago stories of, you heard about the hostages? But did you hear about Palestinian men being raped in Israeli prisons today? Did you hear about American citizens being shot by Israeli snipers and killed today? Have you heard about 45,000 Palestinians dead and dying, over 45,000 at this point in the Gaza Strip, right? In the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank, and more attacks on the West Bank. So Ms. Harris said, again, she started off and she first declared her support for Israel. She declared that Israel had a right to defend itself. And then she said that, the ceasefire there has to be a ceasefire and too many Palestinians are dying. But she never said Palestinians are dying because the Netanyahu government and the Israeli Defense Forces are killing people. So brothers and sisters, listen very carefully to the language. There's a difference between Palestinians are dying and the Israelis are killing Palestinians. One clearly assigns responsibility. Who is responsible for taking lives? So, and so the other thing that when I interviewed Brother Mark Lamont Hill, and it's a 3-part interview, go to finalcall.com right now and you can get it. One of the things that he talked about was when you are under occupation, the oppressed people have a right to defend themselves, okay? But the occupying power cannot kill people and say they're acting in self-defense. Why? Because in essence, they are the aggressor. And they are oppressing people and depriving them of their human rights. And the people have the people have the right to fight for their own freedom, justice, and equality. So that's Israel. Yes, sir. And I'll come back to what Trump said. But go ahead, Brother BJ, weigh in.
Yes, sir. I'll be real quick. Brothers and sisters, we talking about the debate. So y'all call in and jump in and join the conversation. 773-591-1690, 773-591-1690, listening to Straight Words on WVON. And real quick, clearly, brothers, a distinction was made tonight because her prowess as a prosecutor came through. She was scolding this man. She was turning and looking at him. And at first, did you notice at the beginning when she walked out, Donald Trump did not want to shake her hand. So she had to walk over all the way to his podium and introduce herself and shake his hand. And I didn't know what kind of night it was going to be. But clearly, and I'll wrap up with this point, is that Donald Trump is solely for entertainment. He has to be the most entertaining political figure in the history of America. No substance. He's a liar. Clearly, if people are on the fence, Kamala Harris has to be your choice, even if you don't want to vote for her. So I was impressed by her. You know, she warmed up real nice. Like you said, Brother Naba'a, their stance on Israel and the brothers and sisters of the Palestinian Authority, they have no compassion for their right to even exist. They talk about Israel has the right to exist, but what about the brothers and sisters that are being slaughtered every day? I think 40 people got slaughtered today in some airstrikes from Israel.
Yeah,
so,
and
this is going to be a sticking point.
Yeah, and they still got the settlers, encroaching on the land, which provoked the attack in the first place. But what I thought that Kamala did very well. I mean, she maintained her composure. She she repeated some of the points that she gave at the DNC, and I think that was good because a lot of the Trump voters tuned in because they knew Trump was on. They didn't watch the DNC, so a lot of the stuff that she repeated was it was being heard for the first time by a whole bunch of folks who never tuned in to to the DNC thing. So I mean, I think she came out. I know, and I could tell because one thing I did when it was over, I switched to Fox to see how they were talking about it, and they were giving her platitudes, and they were talking about missed opportunities that Trump had. I mean, shortly to your point, I think he's mentioned the debate. 10 minutes into the debate, it was all downhill. If you had a weak stomach, you would have got sick of just listening to Trump's arguments because they weren't arguments. They were what Kamala Harris kept saying with regard taking us back to old talking points that it wasn't inspiring at all, and it wasn't as if she answered all her policy questions, but she stayed composed enough that she walked out of there. You could even tell if you look at when they walked away, how Trump kind of walked off the stage versus how she walked off the stage. And even when Vance came on, they brought the governor on. I mean, her running mate on right after the debate was over, and he was all smiles, and then Vance came on. And it wasn't, you could tell who won the debate just by their expressions. Just by their expressions.
Yeah, I wanted to say this was probably, though, for lack of a better term, the most disciplined we have seen Mr. Trump, at least in articulating some positions, right? He did come with the insults. I think when he started, But as the debate went on, he kind of went back to the old thing, the old, as Ms. Harris called, the old kind of tired stories of and tactics of yesterday. And I think one of the things that's being talked about, where polls are being cited, is the question is who will be seen by voters as the candidate that represents change. Will it be her? And if she is, can she separate herself from Mr. Biden and their policies enough? Or if it's him, can he kind of separate himself from the old baggage and his previous political, I don't want to say escapades, but his previous political persona and his positions. I want to come back for Israel, and then we can move on, because I was live tweeting while this was going on. So the moderators from ABC asked about Israel and support for Israel. Mr. Trump said that Ms. Harris hates Israel and that she wouldn't meet with Prime Minister Harris, Prime Minister Netanyahu when he spoke to Congress. That's actually not correct. She did not attend Mr. Netanyahu's speech when he spoke to a joint session of Congress some weeks ago, and there were others that did not attend.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and there were others that did not attend the Prime Minister's speech to the American Congress. She did, however, meet with Mr. Netanyahu, I believe, the next day, or later that day, but she did meet with him. So that's actually a fact check that what Mr. Trump said about not meeting with Mr. Netanyahu is actually not correct. Then Mr. Trump said that if Kamala Harris is president, Israel will not exist in 2 years from now, or from when she gets into office. And he also said she hates the Arabs, too. The other thing is that America has renewed these weapons, including, to my understanding, the dispersal of these 2,000-pound bombs. They haven't ruled that out, and they released billions since they held them for a minute.
Right.
They've gone back. Brother DJ, we got somebody on the phone?
Yes, sir. We got Zena on the line. You're on WVON 1690 on Straight Words tonight. Zena, talk to us, sister.
Yes. Hello. I just got home from my third shift. I just want to say this one thing. Neither one of those candidates are going to do well or do anything unless they get a hold of the border. Now, I'm looking at Miss Harris, VP Harris' mouth when she said, we're going to legalize all of the illegal immigrants that's here. Well, you still have
Wait, sister, hold on. Zena, hold on. She said that tonight?
No, it was sometime, I'm not sure when, if it was months ago.
Well, that's where did she say it at?
We as black people, we don't pay attention to these things.
Neither
one of those candidates.
Where did she say it at, since you're saying that she said it?
It would have been in the spring of this year, I'm not sure, but it was on the news, in one of the news, I don't know if it was ABC, they saw her standing up there talking to someone, and she actually said it, and I know that was not one of her lookalikes, neither her or Trump, neither one of them. Because they say Trump allowed a lot of them come in here too, but they have lost it. There's no way in the world they can get rid of even a third. And those many people in this country, the country is going to be a third world country, and black people are going to be the one who's going to suffer. You will, poor people, okay? We're the one who's going to suffer. They can't do nothing and support other countries when you got 160 million people in this country. Neither one of those candidates can do anything with that.
Wait, Zena. The figure that's been quoted by the federal government is about 15 million, not 160 million.
Look, they're still coming. They're coming as we talk right now.
I understand, which is fine. All I'm saying is...
It don't matter who gets in, but watch this. Watch this. Just watch it. Mark my word. Within the next 4 years, watch what happens. The borders are not going to be closed. It's too late. Even if they close the borders, you got people you got them over here having babies in about 10 years from now. Your children, grandkids are going to suffer. It's nowhere in the world, United States can take care of that volume of people coming into the country like that and then take care of American people. When I say take care, that means jobs, Social Security, poor people have food stamps. Guess what they're having to do? We're having to share medicine. Our medicine is being lowered. Every black person on the face of the earth in their DNA have high blood pressure because of
Wait, Zena. That's not in the DNA. That is, it's genetic. Hold on. It's not in the DNA. It is both. It can be both genetic, but it's also linked to diet and lifestyle. Go ahead.
Well, most of us got high blood pressure because we've been discriminated against. That's one reason, and a whole lot of stuff. And they don't have the high blood pressure. High blood pressure will give you stroke and you die. So you got to know some of these things. You got to research some of these things and stop saying, "Oh no." The bottom line is we're having to share our medicine with illegal immigrants.
Hold on. Sister, the truth is the truth. I'm not arguing with you. You're making statements that you're saying are facts. I'm asking you what is the source of your facts. That's all. But I think the points that you're making, I think the points that you're making and the concerns that you're raising are real concerns. And when we talk about America becoming a third world country, Black people studies have shown, based on our rates of disease, based on our incarceration, based on our lack of education, based on our nutrition status, based on our death rates, based on our poverty, we already live in a third world condition. So if you could wrap up, then Brother James, you can jump in.
Well, I have a question for her, though.
Okay, let me tell you something. It's going to be worse. Let me make it simple.
Can I ask you a quick question? Guys, just a real quick question. Zena, can you hear me? Okay.
I'm listening.
Quickly, though. Yeah, I understand and I agree the immigration problem exists. It should have been brought under control a long time ago. But you mentioned things like your high blood pressure, et cetera, et cetera. My question is, what is the source of this high blood pressure, the conditions that Brother Naba'a just rattled off to us, not counting the immigrants that are coming in, like you said, flooding the border?
That's only one issue. Medicine.
My question, though, just answer that. What do we do about those who have put the oppressive hand on us for centuries? What is the solution to that aspect of what you're bringing up, which we should address as well? The immigrant.
One thing that would help is to get on these presidents, have someone take some information to one of these, whoever's going to be the president, and let them know, no, we cannot take in more illegals because it's impacting poor people, and Black people are at the bottom of the scale. The Hispanics,
what about those who are already? What about the whites that have put the oppressive hand on our people for these centuries? Well, that's the question I'm trying to get at. What do we do?
How can we stop that? We're going to have to get the leaders to address that. Okay, the Black caucus and all that, they don't even address reparation. We're never going to get reparation because the illegals got theirs. They came over here and got $9,000 each. And as we speak right now, they got $2,000 for rent, and the rest is history. Then they got 1.2 would be billion. They're going to get ready to build some houses. I chopped and picked cotton down there, and we came up here with nothing. Not a nickel, got nothing. Those immigrants that's coming over here, if they can't send the one who is illegal, just let them go back to their country. They want two countries. Let them deal with their country like the blacks and Dr. King, how we dealt with these white people. But they sucking on what Black people have built. Who built this? Oh, I don't want to cuss. Who built country. Our ancestors and myself as Jim Crow. I was a Jim Crow worker. We got nothing. And the black leaders do not address us. Well, okay, let whoever gets in. But watch what's going to happen. And they're still coming in. The borders are still open. That is the black people worst problem is all them illegals impacting us. That's the biggest thing right there. We was getting ready to deal with something here. We was probably close to a reparation, but it's no way in hell we're going to get reparations when you got millions of them coming over here. And the minute old Trump that everybody hate in 2017, because I kept up with that with him, the minute he started talking about some kind of platinum plan or something like that, here they come. And he turned around. He said, you see that right there? I'm looking in his mouth in his office. He turned around. He said, that's going to hurt poor people, especially black people. Black folks never even caught that. I paid that a little attention. Now that platinum wasn't no reparation, but it could have been a start, and the black leaders could have went to him and said, listen, we want the platinum plan, but we want every poor black person who was descendant of slaves to get at least $100,000 to start. That is just we owed about 1.2 million each black person in this generation. But we're not going to get out of that now because the United States got to take care of millions of other races of people that shouldn't be here. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Zena, thank you. And Zena, we want you to keep calling in. Thank you, okay? We appreciate you, and we want to hear from you again. Right, okay?
Thank you, Zena.
We got somebody else?
Good comment. No, sir, not right now, sir.
Anybody else? I wanted to say to my sister, she's absolutely right that you hear no talk from either candidate about poor people. There's a focus on the middle class. There's an appeal to the middle class. No, virtually nothing about combating poverty, consistently at least, right? Nothing about, so you talk, Ms. Harris has talked about an equality, an opportunity economy, but she's focused on the middle class. I think I would say to my sister also, we're not only asking can America survive these different conditions in 10 years, we're asking can America survive the November elections in 2024. So this is a very serious and a very harrowing time. And I think that what she mentioned about resources and where resources will go, you've got a tremendous homeless problem in this country, which impacts black folk disproportionately. You've got it especially in Chicago, where people are being priced out and driven out of the city, opening up ways for more people to be able to be homeowners. I haven't heard much talk about affordable housing. I think she talks about rents and trying to manage rents. So there's a lot there that Zena was referring to that I think is worthy of discussion.
Yeah.
You know, another thing.
And I think... Go ahead,
Brother James.
No, you go big there.
I was just going to say real briefly that, you know, another thing that the immigrant population, they're not our enemies. This is being purposely done. And all it does is exposes, again, that we are not in the thought of the minds of the United States government of ever helping us. They don't ever intend to do anything to lift us up out of our condition. So, you know, we were at the bottom before they got here, and it looks like we're going to be pushed down further. And again, our only solution is to unite, and we got to separate from these people, brothers and sisters. You're not going to get no justice from the United States government. Even if Kamala gets in, can you make her do what needs to be done for us? That's the other question. If she does get in, then what? What plan do we have to make her do what we need to get done for our people?
Yeah, I was going to mention the piece about the immigrants, because that seemed to be Zena's one of her main points, or if not the main point, was the immigrants. If the immigrants come in, they're going to be above us. We're already on the bottom, as you say, Brother DJ. If the immigrants come in, they're going to be above us, and we're still fighting to get from the bottom. So the class in control always has a us versus them dynamic for the people on the bottom. For us, it will be poor whites against black folks initially, then it becomes blacks against immigrants coming from Europe, then blacks against immigrants coming from South America and all these other places that America itself has disrupted, which has caused destabilization in those countries. So as long as this us versus them continues, it gives clarity for those in power to remain in power, because they got the people who, as you say, Brother Naba'a, who need to be addressed mostly with justice and fairness. They are down on the bottom fighting each other for the crumbs that fall off the master's table. So as long as they can keep that up, they can feel pretty comfortable. But we do know there's plenty of money to be allocated, because the war machine never goes dry. I mean, they find billions and billions and billions to pump into that war machine without blinking an eye while the country goes to hell. And that is exactly what you're looking at. The Trump forces, in my opinion, when this November 5th go down, and the way the division of the country is going, is sealing, SEALING, the destruction of this country. Because once you can't destroy it from the outside, you're going to destroy it from the inside. And that's what's about to blow up. It's called anarchy. And when you got anarchy in your own country, you're just destroying your own. And it's no longer going to be black folks bombing and tearing up our own community after we riot. It's going to be whites and blacks fighting, and blacks fighting blacks, whites fighting whites, etc. So, like you said, Brother, now this is a very serious time, as the minister has pointed out, in the unraveling of a once great nation, which is called America.
Yeah. You know, the other thing, go ahead, Brother DJ.
That's right, Brother Naba'a. We got about 4 people holding on. If you want to get to them.
Let's get them, man. No. Let's get them. We ain't holding them back.
Okay. All right. WVON 1690, you're on Straight Words. Let's see. We got Sister Taiwan. Go ahead. Assalamu alaikum, sister. Go ahead and talk to us.
Assalamu alaikum. I just wanted to say that this morning I read something, and I want to read. It's not long, but it relates to what happened now. But it actually is from Minister Farrakhan, and it was in the Muhammad Speaks, March 3rd, 1967, after his interviews of Patrick Moynihan. He said millions of black people today have pinned their hopes of an end to their frustrations and poverty on the promises of government. However, in our interview, Mr. Moynihan warned that black people should get what they can out of government, but don't depend on it. For in the end, it's only going to be of limited use to anyone, for government tends to oversell itself. Government tends to overpromise. For 35 years, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has warned us that it is in the final analysis, we would have to unite and depend on ourselves. Let us, as intelligent black people, face the facts. 1, the government has no real program for our intentions of ending poverty among us. 2, the government has no real program to aid in rebuilding black families. 3, the government has no solution to high unemployment among blacks, for the government has no real program for effectively eliminating squalor and disease among blacks. And the government has no real program to reduce the high death rate, no solution to the high unemployment among blacks. And that was from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in 1967 in the Muhammad Speaks, after he interviewed Patrick Moynihan. And I don't see anything different today.
Right.
Yeah, good comment.
All right, thank you. Let's go.
All right, Deshaun, you on the WVON Straight Words. Go ahead and talk to us.
Hey, no, hold on. This is Brother Deshaun Farad calling in from New York. Brother Deshaun, introduce yourself and then get to your comment. Go ahead.
Certainly. Assalamu alaikum, Hotep, Black Power, Deshaun Farad, GoPro Radio Network, journalist, reporter, social commentator.
Go ahead.
All right, let's get to it, man.
Watching this debate, it confirms to me what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said in Fall of America. And so, we see Satan cast out Satan. And, a lot of black folks are happy at the possibility of a black woman becoming president. But I have to warn our people, something that Dr. John Henry Clark often warned black people about doing, and that is mistaking ceremony for substance. I ask the question, how will a Harris, I put this up on Facebook a few times, but very few people answer it. I asked black Democrats, how will, I'm going to do it in reverse order. I asked black Republicans, how will it give me 5 things that black people will benefit from a Trump presidency, and also name me vice versa, what a Harris presidency would entail for black people. Okay, see, me, I believe that we're going to vote what is in the best interest of black people, and I would like to know how either candidate will benefit the black nation here in America. And so too often as black people, we get into a celebratory mode, and we see what happened with our first black president, and I'm not at all blaming President Obama, but have conditions improved, did conditions improve under President Obama? And that's the question that I'm always asking for. We still have the highest poverty rate. We still have poor health within our community. We have poor infrastructure within the black community. So I'm going to ask, how will President Trump, how will a possible President Harris change all this for our community? And so I'm going to end with this. I say all the time that the black community needs to be solidified regardless of who is in the White House. We should be focusing on purchasing land. We should be focused on purchasing supermarkets, buying banks. We've heard all this before, and a good book to read regarding how we should use the black vote, I believe, is Dr. Amos Wilson's book, Blueprint for Black Power. And I land with that.
All right, Brother Sean, thank you for calling in.
Thank you, Brother Sean. All right, we got Sister Anita. Anita, you're on WVON with Straight Words. Go ahead and talk to us, sis.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. I want to first tell you that I just found out the guy that worked on that syphilis, Charles Johnson. My cousin is his goddaughter, and he used to talk to her about that shot that Minister Farrakhan talks about, the syphilis. And she didn't even know who he was. She just told me she just found out a week ago what he was trying to tell her. And he taught her how to read EKGs and X-rays. She said she knew when people had cancer, when they had a heart attack, all kinds of stuff, she said. And she said he started training her at 13. I guess because she was his goddaughter. And she said she used to do 60 a night. They would stay after work. And she said then when she got COVID, she said she had a heart attack. And she said they was doing the EKG and the ambulance. And she could see that she had a heart attack from where he had taught her how to read the EKGs. She said she didn't even know that she knew that well EKG because she was having her own heart attack after the COVID shot.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Anita, did you want to talk about COVID? Or what did you want to talk about, the post-election?
I just wanted to let you guys I just wanted to tell Minister Farrakhan that if he want to back up his claim. But anyway,
he's got a witness there.
Yeah, we have people that actually work with him that was close as 13. She was there. I didn't know that. My uncle never told me anything like that. But anyway, she didn't even connect it. Okay, so let me tell you about the election. We're not going to be afraid of what she's going to do. Black men have always had a knack for getting done what they want to get done. and people persecuting them. And we're going to try to do it without the persecution this time, because somebody else needs to accept that they don't know what they're talking about, and ain't nobody taking that mess off of them anymore. And if we can figure that out and continue to raise our future like Elijah Muhammad told us to, he quietly got his information from the East, took the black men off the street. He never had to bomb anybody or take anybody's homeland. We're going to be just as cool as Elijah Muhammad was, stern and very firm that it's you that got the problem and not me, and I'm not about to inherit your problem for whatever reason you got it. I'm taking care of what I'm supposed to take care of, and I can do it over and over and over with women. I'm not afraid of women. I don't need a man to hang up under me or take care of me while I abuse everybody else. So we're going to do it. We're going to do it. I mean, black men don't have to take care of other men. That's what men do for women. Black men, you do not have to do that, and feel confident in your position.
Very good. Thank you, Anita.
Dr. Rosita is on, y'all, on WVON. Yeah. Dr. Rosita, go ahead.
Yes, wait. Dr. Rosita, hold on. This is Brother Naba'a, okay? We got about 5 minutes before we go to break. I wanted to know, actually about 4. Do you want to hold through the break, or do you want to take, it's 4 minutes enough for you to make your point? You'll hold?
I'll hold through the break, yes.
Yeah, because I definitely want to hear what you have to say. And when she comes back, but this is a sister who has been fighting for our children and fighting for resources for our children and fighting for black teachers. So, and we've had her on the show before. So I didn't want to,
yes, sir.
Kind of shortchange her.
Good call.
But I wanted to get, so Dr. Rosita, don't go anywhere, okay? Don't go anywhere. We want to hear from you. And, one of the things, brothers and sisters, just in terms of recap, just in terms of reporting what was said during the debate, right? The moderator asked Trump about his statement at the NABJ fiasco, NABJ convention fiasco, about when he said Kamala Harris turned black, and he didn't know she was black. The moderator asked Mr. Trump about the appropriateness of kind of talking about her race. Mr. Trump responded, quote, "I don't care what she is. I couldn't care less. I read where she was not black. Then I read that she was black." So he definitely, that was one of the points that his campaign did not want him to get into. So he kind of made a statement about it and stepped away from it. What Vice President Harris said essentially is that she thinks it's a tragedy for someone who wants to be president to use race to divide people. And she said this is one of the things that Mr. Trump has done. Also, brothers and sisters, there's a Reuters article, if you Google it, and there's one by, I believe, the Washington Post too. If you Google it and you ask about, like, Reuters, is Kamala Harris black? Reuters has a piece where they lay out how she has long identified as black. And Washington Post does the same thing, I believe. So, again, just trying to fact check, just trying to stay on top of accuracy. So, Brother BJ, we got 2 minutes to the break. You can go ahead.
All right. So, brothers and sisters, we had a great first hour. Encourage everybody who saw the debate to tune in to WVON tonight. Straight Words, we're on for another 2 hours. We're starting a little late because of the debate, but you sound like y'all are excited to talk about it. So make sure you call in at 773-591-1690, 773-591-1690, and to support our show and keep this love light burning on WVON every Tuesday night. Go to our website, straightwords.com, straightwords.com. You can get content, original content written by Brother Naba'a, Brother James G., and others contributing to the Straight Words website. And you can also donate. We want you to donate, because we need money to keep this program going on WVON. It is not free. We pay to talk to you every week, and it's out of the love and care for our people to get some information that you don't normally hear in the mainstream. So straightwords.com is our website. Make a donation and let us know how you're feeling. All right, brothers and sisters, about the debate tonight. Who you got? What's your comment? What are you feeling? It's right here on WVON 1690, Straight Words on the Talk of Chicago.
The Talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
I'm Terry McCready.
And I'm Kevin Brown, and you're home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
The White House is rejecting a Republican proposal to avert a government shutdown. Congress has until the end of the month to pass legislation to keep the government funded. The White House says the plan does not provide necessary resources for veterans or the defense program. Republicans want a stopgap plan to keep the government funded through March, and they're tying it to require proof of citizenship voting laws being pushed by Congressman Chip Roy of Texas.
I hear from my constituents. They tell me point blank, you need to secure the election.
It's already illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. And opponents to his so-called SAVE Act say it places a bigger burden on Americans to register right before a presidential election. It would require either a passport or multiple IDs. Senate Democrats have already said they want a standalone debate on the issue.
Several leading black organizations are warning of disinformation targeted at black Americans related to November's presidential election. A letter led by the nonprofit Onyx Impact urges black media to acknowledge disinformation's impact on the community's voters. It says it's essential that black media and black gateway influencers and platforms have the resources and tools necessary to stem the rising tide of disinformation and provide their growing audiences with even more accurate information. A report from the organization earlier this year found that more than 40 million Americans in black online spaces could have received disinformation about the upcoming election.
The Congressional Black Caucus has released a report that examines diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives following a Supreme Court ruling last year that banned race-conscious college admissions and increased criticism about workplace diversity efforts around the nation. The CBC is praising corporate leaders for overwhelmingly reaffirming a commitment to advancing DEI programs in their business practices. According to Pew Research Center polling from 2023, support for DEI initiatives in the workplace was divided along party lines, with over 3/4 of Democratic and Democratic-leaning workers in favor, while only 30% of their Republican and Republican-leaning counterparts supporting the action. Be sure to listen to the Black Information Network for live reports from the 2024 Congressional Black Caucus in Washington, D.C., beginning this Thursday.
The Justice Department says 2 alleged leaders of a white supremacist group have been indicted on multiple charges. 34-year-old Dallas Humber of California and 37-year-old Matthew Allison of Idaho face 15 counts of soliciting hate crimes, soliciting the murder of federal officials, and conspiring to provide material support to terrorists. Attorney General Merrick Garland said Humbler and Allison led a transnational terrorist group that targeted a hit list of public officials. The group deemed itself the Terrorgram Collective and allegedly wanted to start a race war in the U.S. Allison and Humber each face up to 220 years in prison if convicted on all charges.
I'm Terry McCready along with Kevin Brown on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
For families facing Alzheimer's, there's a new excitement around possible treatments that may allow more time and maybe even a cure. Support these efforts by joining the Alzheimer's Association's Walk to End Alzheimer's September 21st, the world's largest event to raise awareness and funds for Alzheimer's care, support, and research. Join the fight. Visit alz.org/walk. Register yourself or your team today at alz.org/walk. Alzheimer's isn't stopping. Neither are we. Together, we can end Alzheimer's.
Captivating world of black art and history at AfricanWorldArt.com. Are you seeking a unique and meaningful gift, or do you just want to come celebrate the richness of the black diaspora? Our online gallery is the place for you with a wide selection of paintings, sculptures, prints, posters, and more. Journey through time with images that document our triumphs and challenges, from present-day icons to ancient civilizations, as well as the struggles of slavery, resistance, civil rights, the Black Power movement, and the Black impact on sports, entertainment, politics, and global justice. AfricanWorldArt.com is more than just an online store. It's an inspiration drawn from our experiences. Visit AfricanWorldArt.com or call 267-312-4189. That's 267-312-4189. AfricanWorldArt.com. Since 1985, it's where Black fine art and historical pictures come to life. That's African spelled with a K. AfricanWorldArt.com.
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley, inviting you to join me weeknights, 6 to 9 p.m. right here on WVON. I'll bring a national perspective to all things happening in Black America. It's talk the way you like it, and it's why America is listening.
It's the legendary Tavis Smiley, weeknights at 6 p.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
It's all about great food and service at Let's Eat to Live restaurant located at 621 East 67th Street on the south side of Chicago. Fresh, healthy, life-giving meals prepared with love. Veggies, fish, chicken, lamb, burgers, soups, breads, delicious desserts, and more. Some coming from our on-site garden in season. We got good food for your soul at 621 East 67th Street. That's Let's Eat to Live restaurant. You can stop by or call us at 773-966-6549. Or visit the website, letseattolivecafe.com.
Tune in every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. for Speak On It with Dr. Kofi Malik. You've seen him on cable TV. Now hear his spirited conversation on the Talk of Chicago. The question at hand is raising voices of the Negro. That plain and simple. Tune in every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. for Speak On It with Dr. Kofi Malik on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Light, life, and power drives our weekly talk show. Straight Words on WVON 1690, the Talk of Chicago.
This is Naba'a Richard Muhammad.
This is Brother B.J. Murphy.
This is Brother James G. Muhammad.
Tune in Tuesday nights, 9 to midnight, for real Black talk. It's Straight Words.
On Straight Words, we inform, we educate, and we have a good time.
Black voices speaking on the Black struggle for freedom, justice, and equality, and bold defenses of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. This Tuesday, 9 p.m. to midnight Central Time on WVON 1690 AM and WVON.com. And go to our website, straightwords.com, for more content. We're Black.
And we're strong.
We're unapologetically pro-Farrakhan.
Hey, Alexa, play WVON 1690 AM.
Getting WVON 1690 AM station from iHeartRadio.
Try it out for yourself. America is listening to WVON. The following is paid programming. The views are not necessarily those of this station.
The views expressed on our programs are not necessarily those of WVON, Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or our participating sponsors.
We are the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
All right, brothers and sisters, hour 2 of Straight Words on WVON 1690, the Talk of Chicago. Go to our website, straightwords.com, and support our show. You can make a donation there. We got all the ways that you can, donate, whatever, Cash App, Zelle, whatever you like to use, we got you. And also, you can text us right now with your response to anything that we're talking about at 312-480-9775. That's 312-480-9775. 9775. Brother Naba'a is standing by to respond to you right now. Brother Naba'a, Brother James G. Muhammad, and we're talking about the debate. If you saw it earlier this evening, we want you to call us at 773-591-1690 as we continue to talk about it with our special guest on the line, Brother Naba'a. Go ahead and introduce Sister Rosita.
Brother Naba'a. Okay.
I guess we gonna get it.
No, I'm here. So I put myself on mute when we're off the air. I keep forgetting to unmute myself. But we have Dr. Rosita, who I'm glad, sister, that you held on through the break. I'd like for you to talk a little bit about what you do, and then please get to your comment, okay? But thank you for calling in. We appreciate you and your work.
And I appreciate you as well. The Nation of Islam brothers have been so supportive of our education initiatives, more so than any of the other media hosts. So I really do appreciate what you do in supporting us. And I do want to just make this comment before I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to be interviewed by Brother Mandine on Friday at 12 o'clock for Crow TV. So make sure you tune in, because that's going to be a good interview. I want to talk a little bit about the elected school board piece. As most people know, we were running for elected school board, trying to give our community an opportunity to get some of the things our children need and our teachers need. So one of the problems we have had is over the last since the 90s, we've lost 14,000 Black educators. The union was 40,000 strong, and they lost 16,000 positions due to the proliferation of charter schools, and 14,000 were Black teachers. So we're down to around 4,000 now. We're in a crisis because we have people that are brand new to the city. They've been offered opportunities, and we have people on the in federal court now, Black teachers with PhDs in education and cannot be hired. And these are wonderful teachers. And one of the things, when I started working with these teachers in 2009, we met at Operation Push, and that is how I came in contact with the Chicago Teachers Union. We met there for years trying to, I took Reverend Jackson this data, and he just said, well, come, you can meet here, organize. When the union people found out we were meeting there, then they came down, wanted to kind of pull me in, and I thought they were for real, really. So I helped organize Keon Lewis's campaign. I believe, like, if you hear this political stuff, you believe in the people, because we don't have that kind of heart. I'm not a liar. I'm not trying to fool anyone. And when people come to me sincerely and say, we're filing lawsuits on behalf of Black teachers, which I'd never seen done, I got on board. And I said, we got to do something to stop this bleed. We had lost 5,000. But when Karen came in, and the union that's in there now, when they came in, they had another agenda. And on day one, that the lawsuit they filed, they did not follow up on it. And then when I got 4 schools off probation, because this is what I was supposed to do, Black schools, so that those teachers would not be fired, they read me the riot act. They called me in, told me off, and asked me, who the H do I think I am? I'm nobody's savior. So from that point on, I realized, oh, my God, what have I got myself into? So I began to continue to meet at Push, and I left the union, and actually Brandon Johnson was my replacement. And Brandon, when I met him, was a very nice young man. He understood. He would text me. He understood the issues. He agreed with me, and that all vanished in a few years. So as chair of the Black Teacher Caucus, and when I left, I had cost teachers, so the union they started doing stuff I was doing at the union, because, tell the teachers to come down. Everything I was doing, they would replicate it there and trying to pull our numbers away from us. The problem is they weren't helping anyone. And they were just gaslighting everyone. So we had this huge number of Black teachers. Now, that's the Black teacher issue, but my focus as an educator has always been on Black children. I chose to work. I got my math and science certification from the University of Chicago. I went back to school because I worked in the most disadvantaged communities by choice. I ended up leaving a selective enrollment school, and they thought I was crazy because I wanted to work at James Madison School on 75th across, right down from the Jewel over there.
Dr. Rosita, let me interrupt you real quick. Brothers and sisters, I want you to hear what this sister is saying. We are talking about the post-election 2024 presidential debate. But I want you to listen to what this sister is talking about right here in Chicago, a different type of election, but a critically important election, an elected school board. This is very important. So, Dr. Rosita, please continue.
Yes, and I just want to remind people, I was one of the pioneers of getting an elected school board. I've been fighting for an elected school board for over 20 years. So you would think with my credentials and the years of work, I've gotten whole schools out probation in math and science in 1 year because we know how to teach our children. This stuff about we're going to remove the standard. The union is now saying we're going to remove standardized testing because there's racism in the test. There's racism in America. And our job is not to remove standardized testing so parents won't know how their children line up in terms of all the children. And then it makes their teachers look badly if, 85% of Black children are failing. How will we know that if we don't have standardized testing? Also, our job as seasoned educators is to prepare our students so that they can pass any test. Racism or not, America's a racist country. They're going to have to take tests down the road. Nobody is going to look out when they look for a job and say, oh, America's a racist country. You don't have to take the test. This is an insult to our community. And I fight against the socialization of our children in these schools has got to stop. There are key issues that Black children have to be first. And I did legislation. I sent it to the legislators. I sent it to Jonathan Jackson, Danny Davis, Senator Hunter, Willie Press. I sent this legislation out to say, look, when I was working in the schools, the one thing I identified that was wrong was literacy. It sounds like a small problem, but for Black children who are descendants of slavery, the only way they learn standard English so they can pass the standardized test is in school. You and I know our people do not speak standard English. We all speak a dialect of English. This is so important. So when I was in the classroom and I'd be teaching, and my students would get it when we do demonstration, but as soon as I handed them the standardized test, everything fell apart. I began to interpret the test. This is what we say. This is what it means in our community. This is how we do this. Scores going up. I got so good I could get scores up 3 and 4 years in 1 year just by simple interpreting the test and using skills-based education, which Dr. Barbara Sizemore left us with, teaching our children skills, this higher order stuff that they only learn at selective enrollment school for children who already read at a Stay 9-9 level. I have 2 of those kids at home. And you don't have to do anything. If they're in the gifted program, they don't need this. We're talking about the large number of Black children who are trapped in these failing schools. They're scoring below 50%, and there's no way out. And what we asked in this legislation is that these children be added to the Bilingual Education Act. You can Google that act. That's the act that has all these immigrants rising above our children because they get additional help in spelling, phonics, and all kind of protections under this bill. You can't fail them, so they don't have the trauma of failure. It doesn't matter if they don't speak a word of English. Every year they have to pass on. But Jaquan is over here, and he can't get that help. He doesn't speak standard English either. So I had a whole big layout on this is what we need for children who are descendants of slavery. Now, people say, well, you know, all black children, I have my children speak very well. And I want the other children to have that opportunity. They've got great jobs. They, you know, because they can articulate the English language and they understand it thoroughly. Our children trapped in these inner city schools don't understand that. And we have to do right by them. We can't keep blaming them. We can't keep talking about the parents because the parents are in the same shape they're in. We can't keep doing this. We've got to pass the same kind of legislation that these immigrants passed using our civil rights legislation to get it done. So we ask that a line item be placed in the Bilingual Education Act that will include black children so they can get the additional help that everyone else is getting. These are the two main reasons why I ran for elected school board. And let me tell you what happened. You talk about elections. It's all about the money. I wanted to give our community opportunity to have choice. Well, when I ran, we had a volunteer group, which makes some of these people angry because we weren't paying people to get out the vote. People came to me and they volunteered their services. And miraculously, we were able to, you know, get all our petitions and get them in. But what happens is this, and this is why we can't get good representation at the federal, state, or local level. You're challenged. Every signature that you get is challenged. And it could be good or bad. They don't care. They just challenge it. And then you have to fight to get your petitions back. So if I've got a couple of thousand signatures, they try to knock me down because the number was 1,000. So I don't have 1,000. So, you know, when they're signing, oh, we challenge. So what does that do for my campaign? It means I got to come up with $20,000 or $30,000 to hire some attorneys to go sit down there and get my signatures back. Of course, with the volunteer operation, because we are people's movement, we said no. I withdrew and I converted my campaign into a write-in. And this is why I'm calling to tell everyone. My name is Rosita Chatanda. Learn how to spell it and write it in. There are 5 people running. We still have a chance to win, but we need you. And I promise you this. When I think about the children I left behind, my beautiful black babies that, you know, I worked with when I was at CVS High School before the pandemic, and we got them in college, and we provided opportunity for them, life-changing. And when I think about the children, I want our children to thrive. And I promise you, I'm going to be on a mission to make that happen. I live for that. So if I can get into the board, because I realize I have 4 children. I have 3 beautiful sons and a daughter. In fact, my daughter is working on her graduate work doctorate in higher ed, because I told her don't mess with the CPS system. So, and my sons are doing very well. And imagine raising 3 black boys in this city, and they're articulate and they're fine. And I just want to see all of our children be fine. My grandchildren are fine.
Dr. Rosita, I want you to do this, then we're going to let you go. Give us your name, what you're running for, that you're a write-in, and then when is the election?
The election is November 5th. And I'm going to be on Crow TV Friday, 12 o'clock with Brother Mandine, and then you'll hear more. But I'm running for the 10th district. There are 5 people running with me, and there's a large chance that we can win with those numbers.
And this is for the elected school board.
Yes, 10th district. Yes, elected.
Okay, very good.
You will find it on the ballot. You have to turn it over, and then you'll see after you vote for president and all that stuff. You'll have to turn the ballot over, and you will write my name in, which is Rosita, Rosita. Ita. My last name is a little bit, but it's phonetically sound just like it's spelled, Chatanda, Chatonda. You write that, and we're going to be out in the polling places giving out cards with all of our information disseminated. So when people go in, they'll have a little, way to spell my name and write it in. Please do that, people.
Dr. Rosita Chatanda, thank you, sister, for calling in.
And thank you, brothers,
to us about this very important election, brothers and sisters. Don't just focus.
And I just want to add one last thing about what debate. We're not on a menu, people. You heard that tonight. We're not on a menu. So what does that tell us? We got to work even harder in our communities. Thank you, brothers.
All right. Thank you, brothers and sisters. And I hope that you heard that. This is the November 5th in the city of Chicago, the elected school board, Dr. Rosita Chatanda, 10th District, okay? She's a write-in candidate. So look for her. You can Google her name. You can get her on Facebook. Committed educator. She has written legislation and is fighting for, I want you to listen to this very carefully. She's fighting so that our children who speak Ebonics, right? Don't start tripping on that. That is a recognized form of speech, brothers and sisters. Right. That's native to us, right? So listen.
Yeah.
And what she is pushing for is for our children that speak Ebonics to get the same supports in public education that Spanish-speaking students get, that Polish-speaking students get. Did you see the correlation that Chinese students get, Asian students get? So this ain't no pipe dream. This is a sister who is giving us a strategy to move our children forward. We got anybody on the line, Brother BJ?
No, sir. Not right now. We don't, sir.
Okay. Yeah. I thought, brothers and sisters, I want you to know that's very important. So when you hit that ballot box, I'm telling you, man, I don't remember if judges are on the ballot this election. But when you go November 5th, there's going to be some very important local offices. And I say this over and over again. One of the most important offices that we overlook is judges who are elected in Cook County, Illinois. A judge can take your property. A judge can take your freedom. A judge can destroy your life. And we go in and we vote and we have no idea who we're voting for. So if we're going to be responsible and wide awake, we have to understand, right, what is in our best interest, and we have to be tuned in. I'm going to get to something else real quick. I want to go back to the presidential debate, and there was, of course, talk about Mr. Putin. There was talk about the invasion of Ukraine. There was talk about Mrs. Harris's role and whether or not she did a good job on Mr. Trump. Here's one of the other things that Mr. Trump said. He said, Mr. Putin has nuclear weapons. Maybe he will use them. Maybe he won't. Nobody wants to talk about that. Then Mr. Trump said, Harris as a U.S. envoy was, quote, weak and stupid. One of the times that he used insults. Then he said days after she went to talk, Mr. Trump said to Putin, Putin invaded Ukraine because he said the Biden administration and Kamala Harris were such horrible negotiators. Well, Ms. Harris responded, I never met with Putin. She said that she met with Mr. Zelensky and she met with allies, and she was in Europe, and she was able to get those allies to support the U.S. position with the war in Ukraine waged by Russia. She also said that Mr. Trump is a fan of Mr. Putin and a fan of North Korea's president and a fan of dictators rising in Europe and wants to be a dictator himself. But she says U.S. policy on the U.S. president should not be moved by personal flattery. But I think this point that Mr. Trump made about what's going to happen and the possibility of the use of nuclear weapons is something that should be taken seriously, because this is something that Mr. Putin mentioned at one time, that he had nuclear weapons. Here's something else that Mr. Trump said when he was asked about Ukraine. He said, this is what he said now, he said that he will end the war in Ukraine while he's president-elect.
Right.
By talking to Mr. Putin of Russia and President Zelensky of Ukraine. Mr. Trump said again, quote, we're playing with World War III. Then he said, negotiate a deal. We have to stop all these human lives from being destroyed. Then he said, I want to end the war, because he was asked by the moderator if he wanted Ukraine to win the war. So that was kind of a summation of his position. Miss Harris responded that the U.S. has to be a world leader in defending the integrity of the borders of countries, in supporting NATO countries, and the U.S. has to be a force for democracy in the world. She criticized Mr. Trump by saying the Russian and North Korean dictators stand with Mr. Trump because Mr. Trump is their choice, because they can flatter him, they can ego stroke him, and he will respond to that instead of standing up and making sure that the U.S. has a strong national defense. So these are issues that will have to be discussed, and voters will ultimately have to make some decisions.
And she said that at one point she said that Putin would eat him for lunch.
Yes, she did.
Basically because all he has to do was flatter him and build him up. But it was mentioned earlier about who will be the change agent, and I don't think really either one will represent change necessarily. And I say that because, number one, Trump, he doesn't even put forth the vision that he would be change to the point of what you were just talking about. He said himself he would like to be a strong man. He loves that authoritarian persona. So he doesn't represent change. Whenever he talks in hyperbole and superlatives. I'll be the greatest. It'll be the greatest. I'll solve it before I even, take the oath of office. It was the greatest day. I was the best president. Everything is either hyperbole or superlatives in his language that he uses. So there's no change there. And with regard to Vice President Harris, we all had President Obama's theme was change. The change that we've been waiting for, or something to that effect.
You can believe in.
The change you can believe in. And as much as his heart was in it to change, ultimately you end up with the same thing, because though the people vote for him to get into office, it's the people's vote, but it's the wealthy people's money that pays for him to get there. And as the old saying goes, whoever pays the piper calls the tune, or something to that effect. And so, corporate power, the military, industrial complex, etc., will always call the tune, because they're the ones that put the money behind the candidate. And only if our people, if only until the people unite to put pressure, united pressure on a candidate to take it in the direction that they wanted to go, will that candidate do it? Because if the people are united to do it, even corporate power, I don't think, will be able to change it because the people power is much stronger than that corporate power if it's united and directed in the same direction. So, that's why I don't particularly see change in a substantive way from either one of those candidates.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What do y'all think was the most ridiculous? Okay, good.
No, I was just saying we're still holding on to hope.
What do y'all think was the most ridiculous statement? The most ridiculous statement of the debate was, I thought, when he said that the immigrants in these small towns were eating the pets of the residents that they don't want to talk about.
Yeah, that was probably the most ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's where it started going to hell. That's when it started going downhill. Because that was pretty early in the conversation.
Yeah, and that is again the demonization of immigrants. That's also one of the good things I felt about the ABC moderators was that they fact-checked Trump. They fact-checked Trump. And they said, we've talked to, I think they said the city superintendent or city official, and they denied that it was happening. I read stories from police departments. I think Springfield, Ohio was the place most often named, and the police department said, no, that's not happening. This was started actually by J.D. Vance, Trump's vice presidential pick, started talking about this, and so, but I thought that was really kind of a classic Trump moment, and something that his campaign had said they wanted him to stay away from.
Yeah. I could see their faces. I mean, I didn't see them literally, but I can imagine when they heard that come out, they all lowered their heads, man, and their eyes. Damn.
Like, Jesus.
Because it went downhill from there.
Now, one of the other things, the moderators brought up the January 6th attack on the Capitol, and they said that Mr. Trump told supporters to go to the Capitol. Aides have said that he watched and waited for 2 hours to tell these insurrectionists trying to overthrow the U.S. government to go home. And Mr. Trump responded that he said, quote, peacefully, patriotically, he asked people to leave. Trump says he told the crowd to go home. Again, this is 2 hours after the siege of the U.S. Capitol, something that the type of thing that had not been seen since like the Civil War, anything like this, any attempt like this, any major rebellion like this. And then Mr. Trump said he told the crowd to go peacefully and patriotically. And he said a young woman, Ashley Babbitt, was killed by an out-of-control police officer. However, the facts state and the facts show she was one of thousands of people who were trying to literally break into the Capitol. You had lawmakers in one of the chambers, and they were beating on the doors trying to get in, and we all heard the chants of hang Mike Pence. And so it turned out that this was a white woman, and it turned out that a black man who was a security person shot her to death. But Mr. Trump and others have basically called Ms. Babbitt a martyr. And Mr. Trump said that she was killed by an out-of-control police officer. Asked if he had any regret about January 6th, Mr. Trump said he had nothing to do with it, that he did nothing wrong, and that he offered to help. He offered help, rather, to the mayor of Washington, D.C., and to Nancy Pelosi, neither of which I don't believe is true. I don't know if one of you brothers can fact check that. I think that's already been debunked. that never happened. But there were also questions about the slowness of the National Guard to respond to this major historic attempt to overthrow an election at the U.S. government. So, brothers and sisters, could that happen again? Could something worse happen again, depending on the outcome of the election? So, again, this is a very serious time.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you are looking at that, you know. They wanted to grab thank God somebody picked up thank God for the country anyway, on the way out as they were escaping, somebody picked up those ballot boxes. Because had they left them sitting there, the mob would have gotten in and gotten a hold of them and destroyed them. And Trump still said he won the election.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we got another vote for the most ridiculous statement. This comes from Brother Barney by text. Most ridiculous statement when Trump said they killed babies after they were born. Yeah, that's not legal nowhere. That's not legal nowhere in the United States. So again, brothers and sisters, we are just reporting out. We are just reporting out facts and sharing some of our observations. And again, you can join this conversation. 773-591-1690. I think what we've got going here, I think is a little better than what you get on CNN personally.
Oh, absolutely, brother.
Yeah. Personally, because you don't have the same talking heads. You don't have the same talking heads repeating the same thing. You don't have people that are siding with the Democratic Party nor the Republican Party. Right. You know, so this, I think this is ending up being a very good session for us. Go ahead, Brother BJ.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, being impartial, right? Did anybody, in your opinion, both of you and Brother James G., did he say anything that made sense? One thing I do pick up over the course of Trump's life in the political circles is he always seems to have a smidgen of compassion for when you talk about human lives. It sounds like he's not trying to be a warmonger. He's talking about stopping wars instead of starting wars. Do you hear that in him?
I don't know if I would say I hear a humanitarian.
Just a drop. Yeah,
no, I don't. Honestly, I don't.
Okay. I don't hear anything.
I don't. But what I do think I hear from my view is a concern about this war in Europe. Of course, he wants to use it as a way to criticize the Biden administration. But I think certainly he's concerned. I think certainly he's concerned about the possible use of nuclear weapons by Mr. Putin, which I think comes and goes, and people kind of talk about it and then they kind of dismiss it. But I would say it should not be dismissed. It should be looked at as a serious thing. I think that he has consistently, as opposed to lining up and siding with those who say they want Ukraine to win, he has consistently said, I want to end the war. I think the thing that he said about negotiate a deal, we have to stop all these human lives from being destroyed. I think when he said we're playing with World War III, those are things that we really need to understand. I think at the same time, you can wage a war, on people in different ways. And I think when he talked about Afghanistan and American withdrawal and how people are laughing and mocking America and that these things would not be. The other thing I think is that he positions himself as the one with the solutions. That if he had not been in office, these things would not have happened. So he positions himself as the one, and literally the one who can who can resolve these things. And I think it'll when he talks about Afghanistan, VP Harris countered that it started with the deal that Trump negotiated with the Taliban that did not involve the Afghan government, which were U.S. allies. And she cites that as the beginning of that debacle.
Yeah. Well, I don't think, first of all, I think Trump will say and do whatever benefits him. I believe that he is kind of narcissistic in that way. Now, I don't think he's bloodthirsty. But I do think, the fact that he would say, well, go ahead and do what the hell you want, Russia. That's like, that's not an invitation to say, hey, be careful, don't go into Ukraine. That's like, hey, go do whatever the hell you want. So that that's kind of like him being that strong man, siding with the strong man. He wants to have, that's the kind of persona he likes to portray. So whatever benefits him, I think he'll say it, just like some of the things he blurted out in the debate. I just think he got back into himself too much, and so he blurts things out because it's his nature, how he always sees himself. I'm the best. I can do. When I was this, I did it better than anybody, et cetera, et cetera. So he's not bloodthirsty, but and one thing I will say that even though it may not be totally factual, when he said that he made the NATO pay more of their fair share,
tariffs.
That I do think he did, at least to an extent. Made everybody contribute a little bit more, et cetera, et cetera.
He did. He did make them pay up more. We're talking about NATO spending on defense.
Right.
As NATO countries spending on defense in their countries as part of being under the agreement.
That percentage, I think it was 2% or something of their GDP or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So that I do think was, I think that should have happened. But to my point, he will say and do whatever benefits him. And I don't think he's bloodthirsty, but he definitely, if it benefits him, he'll go there.
I think it may also have something to do with the destruction of white lives. Because remember, this is a man who said at one point that he would favor immigration from more Caucasian nations. And Brother Barney, again, just hit me with an observation via text. That's why, brothers and sisters, 312-480-9775, use that as a way to communicate with us. Brother Barney said, well, he had no compassion for the Central Park Five.
Right.
He called for them. Yeah. He called for the death penalty for them after they were exonerated.
Right.
And he not only called for the death penalty, he said after they were exonerated that he still believed they had something to do with it. And the woman did not die. She was beaten very badly. And then a known sex offender who was in prison was one of the, and remember, this was a case in New York where you had Black and Hispanic teens charged with what they called wilding back in the day, charged of kind of going on a rampage through Central Park and raping and beating this young white woman. Horrible what happened to
super predators, Brother Naba'a.
Yeah. I mean, just a horrible beating. But what ended up happening was the person who actually did the crime confessed it in prison to one of the brothers that was part of the Central Park Five. I don't know. I think it was Yusuf Salam, but I may be wrong. And when then that was the beginning of investigation into this now admitted sex offender who had a long history. He also had details of the crime. He also had DNA evidence, I believe, that linked him to the crime. and these young people had been coerced into confessing. So Mr. Trump said, well, you know, they confessed, but those confessions were shown to be false. Now, you can also add, he didn't have compassion for black people when he was sued by the federal government for housing discrimination, for not wanting to rent to black people. You could also say that compassion for black people, and when he called Africa and Haiti and other black nations, pardon the expression, but shithole countries. So he's got a long history of not being compassionate towards blacks. Thank you, Brother Barney.
So what do y'all?
So is he racist?
What do y'all think? Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, but so is he racist?
Absolutely, he's racist.
Yeah.
Just like all the rest of them. Just like all the rest of them.
Right.
They all fruit from the same tree.
Exactly.
That's right. And what do y'all think about Dick Cheney coming out, the former Vice President Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney coming out and saying they're going to throw their support behind Vice President Kamala Harris? What kind of message are they sending to the white folks in America?
You know, brothers, I think that may be the biggest sign that no major change is coming. This man, Dick Cheney, has some of the bloodiest hands in U.S. history.
Exactly.
You're talking about the Iraq War. You're talking about other covert ops. You're talking about lies used to send thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people into suffering. You're talking about thousands of deaths of American soldiers. You're talking about what became drone wars, dropping bombs on Pakistan and other countries under Obama. You're talking about people that wanted to charge both Dick Cheney and George Bush Jr. as war criminals for what they did. You're talking about contributing to the massive destruction of the Middle East. So we cannot, regardless to what politics they play, we cannot be with them. Oh, that's a good thing. No, it's not a good thing when evil people that have destroyed the darker people of the earth are now vouching for someone else. This is all an attempt to woo voters. But to the wide awake people, this is more death among death, and this is how American empire operates.
When I heard that, what it came to my mind was, even when Satan shows up, even Darth Vader got to find another person to support. I mean, that's what I thought, because Brother Naba'a said, I mean, when Cheney was vice president, I thought, man, he was Darth Vader, bro. He was evil personified, and so that was you know, hey.
And Liz Cheney ain't no friend of black folks.
No, not at all.
Liz Cheney ain't no friend of black folks. So we have to be clear, brothers and sisters. We cannot be enamored with the process or what people call bipartisanship, which is perhaps a bipartisanship in evil and injustice. If this country is to survive, she has to turn from the course that she is on. So I thought that was interesting. And again, this is playing to that, what you mentioned, Brother James, that portion of the electorate that they're trying to sway. I think no matter what people think, this is going to be a close election. If not in the popular vote, definitely in the Electoral College vote. This is going to be a tight election. It's been that way for the last few elections. I guess Mr. Obama blew away. But other than that, I mean, it's been tight. It's been tight. So going after these slivers of the election, black folks, in certain states.
Yeah, and that's what Kamala was after. But it didn't seem like Trump was even interested. All his stuff was to his base. And even I think some of his base might have been turned off by some of the stuff that he was saying.
Yeah, and I think the question is, because again, the country is so divided. that you're talking about people who may be open to voting for Kamala Harris, but then you have those that are not open because they don't want to vote for Democrats.
Right.
So I think it could go either way, but I think definitely, it's going to be a close election. I don't think we should be under any illusion that this thing is going to be a landslide. And brothers and sisters, we want you to call in, text us either 773. Call in 773-591-1690, 773-591-1690, and please go to our website. We got ways you can use Zelle, you can use Cash App, you can use PayPal to support us. Go to straightwords.com and give. Where are you going to get content like this? Where are you going to have people that are not taking sides but giving you facts, giving you sources, giving you trying to let people speak, even if we have to correct them on facts at times, but not attacking people. We're not shills for the Democratic Party. We ain't shills for the Republican Party. We are those who seek to present truth and those who seek to share truth. And then what we really want to hear from you, we really want to hear from our audience in terms of what you see, what you think. And again, we had an opportunity tonight to not just talk about the national election and the post-presidential debate, but we had a sister come on that spoke very importantly about an elected school board in this city and what that means, as well as her strategy to get our children extra support to move them into speaking English in a more standard way without rejecting themselves, but understanding how to communicate. It's like I used to tell my children, I used to tell my sons, of course, we taught them standard English. This is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad produces. He produces civilized people. And he said that we cannot be successful unless we speak the language correctly. So we taught our children to speak it correctly, but also taught my sons, man, when you want to bus, you might need to say, excuse me, can I get this seat right here? You might not want to say, excuse me, would you please mind moving over? Because, I mean, if you're a Spanish speaker speaking to Spanish people, you speak in Spanish. If you're a Polish person speaking to Polish people, you speak in Polish. If you're a Chinese people speaking to Chinese people, and you're speaking at home, right? In the comfort of your home, in the comfort of your culture, you communicate a certain way. It's like I grew up in Baltimore, and Baltimore was famous for its accent. I don't have it. But when I go home and start to talking to my people, I can start to hear me falling right back into that speech pattern because I'm at home. So what Dr. Rosita is talking about is getting our children to understand language as a tool and how to properly wield it to be successful. So 773-591-1690. Call on them, brothers and sisters. We really, really, really want to hear from you. We had some great callers earlier, and
Yes, sir. And we shouldn't feel bad, brother, because we the people from another culture captured and brought here, and we learned this language to survive. And when I think about recently, man, I said, these people didn't even want us to learn how to read. They had a law against us reading. So whatever we're doing the best we can under the circumstances of the oppression that we've been living under. So speak your abundance, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it got us, to where we are. And the question is, for me, the question is, how do you effectively communicate? That's the question.
There you go.
Yo, Shorty, what's happening? Hey, my man, you looking good over there, yo, I see you. good morning, sir, how you doing? It's all about how you communicate and connect with people. And I think you're right, Brother BJ, you know, and knowing how to connect. And sometimes when you have the ability or the willingness to speak, you can be in a professional environment.
Yeah, right.
And you can talk to your own people a certain way, and they will eventually say, okay, he's good.
Right.
You got to
I don't like that. I don't like that code. That code switching is different from. That code switching is different from the Ebonics thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't understand what code switching is, but to me,
right. No, I'm not talking about you saying that. I'm just saying that. I'm saying that people do that just sometimes. They'll say.
I've heard people talk about this thing that they call code switching, and I'm not sure, because to me, it's a matter of when you're in a dominant culture, you have to be able to speak the dominant language.
Know what language? You can be bilingual, man. You know,
that's what everybody else calls it. That's right.
And you just know whatever your situation is, that's the language you speak to better communicate.
Right.
It's all about,
absolutely.
It's all about communication.
Absolutely.
You
know, BJ, you got about a minute, man. Get us some money, please.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, brothers and sisters, real quick, top of the hour, go to our website, straightwords.com, straightwords.com. We would like for you to donate, help us keep this program on the air. Brother just laid it out just a couple of minutes ago what our, mandate is to be on the air every week to try to give you what you need. And we need your support to continue to give you this truth. We Black Strong, unapologetically pro-Farrakhan. Support us, straightwords.com. We're going to be back with another hour, wrapping things up, our special edition of Straight Words on WVON 1690, The Talk of Chicago.
The Talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.